Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Book Impressions episode on the Wandering Quill channel. Today, we will be reading the first initial chapters and reviewing The Last Lumenian by author S.G. Blaise. Now, I was really excited to read this book because from what I was told about this book from the author herself, it's a mix of Princess Bride, Star Wars, and a little bit of Lord of the Rings. And honestly, I can see it. This is a very good book. A lot of great twists and turns, great world building, great characters, great female characters, which is really, really awesome. And honestly, the tagline on the cover sold it to me. Most princesses need saving. This one will save you. Boom. Now, here's what it says on the back. She is a rebel. Lilla is fighting on the side of the refugees from their freedom from oppression. But there is a bigger war brewing on the horizon. The Era War. The war between the two ruling art gods that threatens not only Lilla's home world, but also everyone else's in the Seven Galaxies. Enemies must become friends and allies in the desperate race to defeat the arch-god before he finds her. Now, this is a great way to kind of tease the reader into what is to expect from this book. Now, I finished this book last night. Great read. Some chapters were smaller than others. And honestly, it kept me engaged all the way through until the end. This is a very, very great book. The cover art is fantastic. And inside, there is a map called for the Islands of Fae. So this is what Lilla's world looks like. And that's where most of the story takes place. And honestly, it's a very, very great story. Now, like my last two videos, I will read the first few chapters and provide my initial thoughts and comments. And thus, without delay, let us begin The Last Lumenian by S.G. Blaise. Chapter 1. I can't breathe, I say through clenched teeth. Panic cascades down my spine like waves of a crushing tide. Panic so familiar, yet so alien. My constant companion for the past 14 years, since I was 5. My skin burns hot and cold and hot again. Black spots bleed into my vision until it narrows into a pinpoint. I can no longer see the control compartment of our beat-up space vessel. My seat swallows me up. I buck against its constraints, tearing against the tight harness. I have to get out of here. I can't slow my breathing. The icy air burns against my throat with each inhalation. I am drowning without being in water. Lilla. Listen to my voice. Arrow, the pilot of our ship, says, I am here. You're not alone. He brushes my hands to the side. Off the stubborn harness buckle. With a click, the restraints cutting into me disappear. I spring to my feet. The urge to flee, to run, pumps my blood, drowning out the hum of the ship. A gentle hand touches mine. Still blind to my surroundings, I grasp it before I can retreat, my life flying out of the madness. You're fine, you'll be alright now. Arov's voice conjures his image. He is almost 7 foot high, his athletic build, his angular face with pale blue skin framed by short, dark blue hair, his straight nose, and always smiling lips. I heard him call stunningly handsome behind his back, followed by heavy sighs. I must admit they're right. Of course I would never say that out loud in his presence. His thumbs rub a circle in my palm, a mesmerizing motion. I focus on his touch. For the first time since getting foot on this godforsaken ship, I can take a deep breath in. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Again. Minutes or hours drag by before the hot and cold and hot again vanish. I look up right into his blue eyes. They are so dark, they're almost black. Better? I nod. Errol's flashes white, even teeth. His smile makes him appear younger than I am, even though he's in his mid-20s. I look at your hands. I look at our hands, embarrassed that he had to witness one of my episodes, and I pulled my hand away. Errol is the only person in the rebellion who doesn't judge me, or hold who I am against me. Will I change from now on? I shudder. Here, this should help. Errol takes off his jacket and drapes it over my shoulders. I was getting hot anyway, he says, cutting off any argument. I don't think the temp controls work on this junk. Thank you. I burrow into his warm jacket. A dark blue blush appears on Errol's cheeks. He has a perfect image of his home planet, Ice, one of the richer worlds in the 19-planet-strong Pax Septum coalition, where winter rules 3/4 of the year. My gaze flickers to the control panel, outdated with its manual levers. We should check for incoming messages. My voice trails off when I notice a fast blinking light signaling incoming message. How long has it been blinking like that? Errol sees it too. A flash of concern crosses his expression. My stomach drops. We had 3 tasks. Wait for the message from the Rebellion Patrol. Respond with the code to receive coordinates, and meet with the caravan to load supplies. Simple. Errol runs his fingers over the controls to retrieve the message. We missed our chance. They sent the message more than 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes? By making the caravan wait, we indicated mission compromised. But I'll send our code anyway. Errol taps a few controls. Maybe they waited for us. Maybe I turned into a believer of the arch-goddess of the eternal light and order and started praying for her help, as if. We stare at the light, waiting for it to blink again. Without getting the coordinates, we had no hope of completing our mission. Anything? I sit back before I start pacing. I buckle my harness, but this time I don't make it tighter. Better not to trigger the panic that hovers at the edge of my consciousness, waiting to pounce, not ever fully again. Errol glances at me. Nothing. Zor will be furious. I blew the mission. My first mission. One that I volunteered for. Only got because Errol offered to pilot the craft. It seems that bad luck is contagious. Don't beat yourself up, Lilla. There will be other chances. I'm not sure about that. I proved Zor's right-hand man Belthair right. I failed the mission as he predicted. Something appeared on our view screen. Errol, oblivious, says, listen, I know how much you feel, but I pointed toward the view screen. Errol grabbed my flailing hand in both his. I know there's a lot of pressure on you right now. You don't understand. You're right, he passed man. I can't understand, but I can imagine how you must worry. But you can't react. Stop! I shouted. Don't need to be harsh. I was trying to. Asteroids! Chapter 2. There shouldn't be asteroids here, Errol curses, but it gets lost in the blaring toxins. Debris clang, bouncing off the hull of our vessel. The flickering overhead light shuts off, only to come back flashing red and yellow. My vision fills with a porous light gray asteroid the size of a small mountain tumbling towards us in the midst of other giant orbs. Get us out of here! Where did they come from? A second ago, this quadrant was empty except for the blinking stars. I'm trying! Errol shouts. If only this stupid junk would work! Is this ancient spacecraft with its faded green paint and rusted metal going to be our tomb? Dents appear everywhere, and the craft jars and jerks. The screeching noise shrieks louder than the alarms. The sentry overload is too much. My brain can't process so much danger. We have to evacuate, Errol shouts. Evacuate where? Before Errol can respond, the whole stern of the ship tears clean off. Wires and jagged metal hang. Billowing smoke obscures our view. Time ceases to exist. Then space rushes in. Chapter 3. 6 months earlier. My life should replay in my mind right before my death. Instead, it gets stuck on that horrible day. The day of the wedding. All my troubles started then. Forgive me, Mom, I whispered into the silence of the resting gardens. There is no one to overhear my words. It feels sacrilegious to disturb the quiet of the garden, where those no longer with us rest, embraced by loom and guarded by the arch-goddess of the eternal light and order. Long ash-white branches of weeping willows sweep over the small rock pile, tied together with silver ribbons. They are the markers of each ancestor. Cold and crisp wind rush through, rustling the long whispery strands, fluttering the ribbons. Purple flowers lift off the branches, drifting on the currents, perfuming the air in a silent prayer only nature can conjure. I close my eyes. We are made of loom. When we die, we return to the loom. The traditional invocation to the lady echoes in my mind. It brings no comfort, only a sad reminder of that rainy day when life without Mom started and childhood ended. I lean back on my elbows, not caring how the long blades of grass stained my dress. The rhythmic sounds of water lapping on the rocks below mingled with the chirping of the birds above. The last flock to leave as fall pushes summer out of its way on Fay Island. A perfect day for a wedding. That fog-cursed wedding. Why would Mom do it? What would Mom do in my place? Goosebumps run down my arms. Even the light of 2 suns can't seem to bring any warmth today. Footsteps grind on the pebbled steps. I sit up, hugging my knees. I'm not ready. It's hard to believe that it's been 14 years. Glenna, my best friend, says from behind me. I wipe a tear from the corner of my eye. There isn't a single day when I don't miss her. I wish she could be here. Then this dreadful event wouldn't have happened. Glenna tucked a few locks of her crimson hair that escaped from her elegant bun behind her ear. Her dark crimson eyes glinted compassion. If my healer's oath wouldn't hold me, I would. A throat cleared interrupts her. Both of us turn to face 6 guards. Metal helmets cover their faces, blending into half of a chest plate and a black leather tunic. A style that's more ornamental now that it's been 700 years ago. A nod to our pirate past, along with the serrated cutlass swords that hang from their belts. Glenna helps me up. It's time. She sent guards to escort me, I say, as the guards position themselves around us like a living cage, or a grotesque procession we make. Of course she did, Glenna says as we follow after him. You played right into her hands. Glenna was right. I should have known better. For the rest of the short trip, I stayed silent. We marched downhill toward the white sands of the beach, the scene of the big celebration. The whole court is here. The guards cut a path through the elegant silk forest of the Mahars and the Maharas, lords and ladies. As we passed, they bowed. Their muttering are as vicious as their smiles are polite. The Mahana had to make a scene, just surviving another day in court. The Mahana never fit in. Now what will she do? Who would want to fit in here? All they care about is what to wear or how to stay young forever. The Mahana deserves to be put in her place. They can try. Suddenly the crowd surges toward me, shoving the guards too close. Panic rises and my throat locks, constricting air. No, not now. I hold my breath until black spots dance in my vision. Fainting is better than having an episode in front of everyone. Something ice cold lands in my hand. It was a small hydrogel pack. Just breathe, Glenna whispers. I grip the cold ice pack, hiding it against my dress, allowing the cold air to distract me. The guards push back their couriers, and I force a deep breath into my struggling lungs. A cool ocean breeze rustles my gown and chills the sweat on my forehead. I don't dare raise my hand to wipe it off. It might still shake. Glenna stops and takes the gel pack back. She cannot follow me from this point. She has to go to the servant's side, all the way to the back. Behind the high society members, behind the low society members, behind the few selected esteemed civilians who earn their respected status by working well into their old age. The guards stepped aside to reveal a hovering wooden platform infused with Eris, air magic, the third of the 6 light elements. Since mages infused our technology with elemental magic hundreds of years ago, Uhna entered a golden age. Technological marvels sprouted. Uhna's economy boomed until we were the wealthiest planet in the Pax Septum coalition. By the time the other planets joined the magical technology wave, we are miles ahead of them in progress. I'm sure the mages never intend the technology to infuse. They infuse to be applied this way. For pumped for a stupid wedding, a wedding so cliche it's pathetic. A white gauzy canopy held in place by Ares magic hovers over a hexagonal wooden platform. Around the canopy, a flock of colorful birds flutter in place, tamed by Anima, the fifth light element. Around the platform, a multitude of palm trees wave. Their crowns of frowned leaves sparkle with millions of crystal diamond specks, painted on like artificial snow. In the middle of the platform, a shivering wall of water arches down, suspended by Aqua, the first light element. It symbolizes the all-powerful Fume Ocean, from which all titles originate. I climb the 7 wooden steps to the platform and take my place behind my half-brother, Nick. He could be a replica of my father with his fit build, black hair, and dark brown eyes. Behind are the 14 advisors, grouped in 7s on each side of father. Their disapproving gazes weighs heavily on me, judging. Only High Advisor Elar smiles at me. He tried to console me yesterday, but I found no comfort in his wise words. Both of us knew this wedding was not fair. Behind my father, the Maha and King of Uhna, he stands tall in his formal white uniform, a long jacket with a red sash across it, and sharp pants. He looks in control, happy, as if this is something he truly wants. My father glances back at me, smiling in a peace offering. I glare until his expression sombers, until he looks back, toward her. Nick hands me a small bouquet of white starflowers, the national symbol representing innocence. I thought you'd never show. They wouldn't start the ceremony without you, sis. How lucky am I? I grip the flowers, clenching them hard. Poor things, it's not their fault. It's hers. Bithag, father's bride-to-be, who's barely older than I am, and a third of my father's 65. Someone I used to know well and thought I'd never see again. And if she knows I am thinking about her, Bithang turns toward me. She looks over her slender shoulder, left bare by the body-hugging red lace dress. Her long blonde hair falls down on her back, with starflowers woven in her hair. I meet her hazel eyes head on, daring her to blink fast, daring her to read my mind and see how much she is not welcome here. Her eyes flicker behind me. When the guards still waited as if anticipating my escape, she dismisses me with a sniff. Nick pokes an elbow in my side. Stop prodding, the hag says. She started it. I am forced to witness this wedding because of her. A stranger steps in front of the couple with confidence that borders on arrogance. Loud murmurs swept through the crowd. He stands tall, his long silver hair flying over his shoulders in the breeze. He wears a black robe with all 6 light elements embroidered in a circle over his heart. He introduces himself as a royal elementist mage Ragnald, causing another wave of outraged muttering. No mage had been in the royal court in his lifetime. It seems his wedding has an underlying political current. No one has forgotten the magical cleansing war 25 years ago that ravaged the Pax Septum coalition and took a toll on its people. Millions were killed, while hundreds of thousands ended up with terrible injuries from the battle mage's magic, incurable by our healers. Ironically, the coalition won the war by the superior number of the elemental magic-infused weapons that the mages created, but out of pride refused to use. For more than 2 decades, we hadn't seen a single mage. They were banned from entering any coalition world, yet he is here, the first one allowed to set foot in Uhna, and he is officiating father's marriage as if the mages are all forgiven. Is he the first mage in all of the Pax Septum coalition to leave Raghild, the mage's homeworld? And let those who have anything to say, Royal Elementist Ragnolds declares, say it now without repercussion. Hence we can all judge this wedding and the direction in which it may proceed. My heart jumps to my throat. Sweat breaks out of my palms. My skin burns hot and cold and hot again. Open my mouth. Don't do it, sis. Just don't. It's not right, I say in a ringing voice. And we're actually going to stop there. Now, this story is really interesting. So, for those who wish to read The Last Lumenian, I must let you know this right now. The book definitely does go throughout the 6-month period before you go into chapters 1 and 2. It leads up to that. After you read those chapters, about the 6-month period before, she joins the rebellion. You then find out more about Lilla's past, more world building, the archgods and goddesses, the war, and what I also find interesting is that this book is entirely in first person. Now, normally most books are written in third person, but S.G. Blaise has done something incredible. She's made an entire book that is in first person, and it's actually really interesting. It's a nice kind of change, a nice break from, reading traditional third person, and it's nice to see that, first person can work in stories again. I know we read a lot of first person stories in other media, but for a story like this, reading Lilla's story as if we are Lilla herself, it's very, very interesting, and you definitely see the world through her eyes. Now, you definitely get a sense that Lilla does suffer from something that has plagued her entire life. Now, if you can guess what it is claustrophobia. She does suffer from claustrophobia, and that plays a huge role throughout the story, and it ties into the overall plot of the story. Now, we've already met Nick, we've met Erov, and we've already got a mention to Zor. Now, those characters will all play a major role in the story, as well as Glenna. Glenna also has a major role in the story as well. Now, what I love about the story is that it gives you just enough to let you know what the whole world is like. The war that plagued Uhna, how technology and magic were mixed together, and ultimately who these people are, and what their world is like, and what their policies are like. And from the first few chapters, we can get a sense that there is sort of like a hierarchy, a social caste, where you have the highborn members, the low society members, and those are even beneath the low society members, which is Glenna. And that also ties into the major plot of the story. There is a commentary on social hierarchy and a caste system, or whether or not a caste system should exist. And it worked perfectly in the story. And overall, I'm giving this an immediate 5 out of 5. So far, this has been a great book. Reading this whole thing in its entirety last night was amazing. It's a great read. There's about, I want to say, 100 or so chapters, give or take, but they're really easy to read. As I mentioned before early on, there are some chapters that are a page long. There are some chapters maybe a few pages long. But the story goes by really quick and keeps you engaged in Lilla's story, as well as how she affects everyone around her. And honestly, S.G. Blaise, you have made a fantastic story. Now, if you want to contact S.G. Blaise or go to her website, I will link her information down below. Her Instagram, website, and other social media handles. I'll also link where to buy the book, S.G. Blaise's book, The Last Lumenian, and you can buy it for yourselves and read it there and provide the author your own comments and reviews. And with that, listeners, concludes another book impressions on The Wandering Quill. Now, we have 3 done out of 5 books that I bought at the LA Festival of Books. The last 2 will be coming very soon, and I hope you enjoy those as well. Comment down below what you thought of the first 3 chapters that I read and what you would like to see more on the channel. Like and subscribe, and thank you all for your support. And make sure to purchase a copy of The Gathering, paperback or hardcover. And if you also want to read it for free, you can also read it on my Inkit account, which you can go into my channel About section. With that, listeners, thank you so very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.